In all honesty, I am really a bit scared today. We've just had a massive thunderstorm and everything is wet. I'm here at the stairs that goes down into the deep, dark jungle. I can hear so many noises and I don't know, a little bit nervous. I don't know what's gonna happen down there. I don't know what we might find, but I do think it's now or never. We should go see what's happening. We should go see who is coming out after the rain, who's hiding, and what's what in the jungle. You ready? Let's go. The stairs are very slippery, so watch your step. Over time, what happens with all the rain, everything is so impermanent. It rots away, it falls away, and that's the same for the pathway. So you really have to understand, we're going into raw, untamed nature. This is not a place where people go every day. It's not a place where people stay every day. This is nature's territory. This is nature's place. So I'm really asking permission that nature will be kind to us today and allow us to just explore and see what is going on down here. I can hear the river. It's quite active and I'm keeping my eyes open for anything that might move. I actually won't be surprised if we find a snake. So I'm just gonna hold my breath and be brave and go down and see what's happening. As we come down the stairs, I want you to notice really how raw it is and how much dead matter, many leaves have been falling down during the past season, and everywhere you can see the mushrooms. They are popping up because they're using the sugars that are inside these leaves that has fallen from the trees. And inside these mushrooms, or under these mushrooms, for example here, you can see a whole mycelium network forming on the forest floor. And these guys are the communicators of the forest. So basically what they do, they send the messages on the roots of the trees. They send the messages underground. They are the main communicators here under all the dead matter in the jungle. So it's really interesting to see how much is happening down here. Let's go some more. I know, especially after a rainstorm, everything is disrupted. Everything is out of place. And you might not find nature in the places that you normally would find it. So let's see what happens. Just gonna go slow. One thing that's really important is to be hyper aware, to pay attention more than ever, more than you would pay attention to your cat or your dog, or even when your mom or your dad calls you. You need to pay attention to every single thing. Okay, so on these, I call them purple rain, pink rain vines, there are some really peculiar insects. So come and have a look here. I'm gonna put this leaf behind them just to create a better background, and I'm gonna just try to hold them still. Oh, it literally just peed on me. Oh my goodness. So part of their adaptation is to spray out a repelling, stinking smell to, I don't know, chase away their predator. And they probably thought that I am a predator. And I don't know if you can see my finger over here. I'm just gonna keep it still. My finger, do you see those drops on top of my finger? Oh, you see that wet? That is just some of the bug's pee, if I can say it like that. Some of his very stinky adaptation to chase me away. So I'm getting the message loud and clear. Okay, let's go. Ooh, right in front of me. Another one sitting here. But they're quite camouflaged, and woo, they just did it again. I don't know if you saw that, but that was really cool. Okay, they definitely tell us to go away and leave them alone. Nature will never ever cease to fail us with any sort of excitement. Okay, let's have a look. Keep going, keep looking. Especially sometimes it's good to look under the leaves. Like if you go under, you might see something under here. Again, you never ever know what you might find. Let's just have a look, an old cobweb, spider web. I hear so many sounds. Like I hear the sun beetles, I hear some frogs, I hear crickets, I hear the water dripping as it's filtering through the rock formation. And I have to tell you, one day I was walking right here, and under this tree, a long, thin green snake just slithered by. At first I was really scared and I was trying to run away, which you shouldn't do. But then I just paused and I observed the snake, and I was just looking at what he was doing, but from a distance, and he just went on minding his own business, and he went back into the jungle. But from that day on, every time I pass this tree, I can still see that snake in my mind's eye. So this tree really represents an interesting part of the jungle for me. Oh, it is, just look here. It is so soggy and wet. I wonder who in the jungle likes this. I'm even curious to know which organisms actually flourish inside of all of this wetness, inside of all of this moisture. Again, keeping my eyes as open as possible, being as present as possible. Ooh, I walked into a spider's web. Let me just back up a bit. Walk into the spider web. Let me just take the webs off me. That's another thing in the jungle. You will be sure that if you don't watch where you're going, you will definitely go into a spider web, because they will position themselves in the best places where they know insects might fly through, or where they might find, you know, their next meal or a good prey. So, yep. Oh, what's there? Nothing there. Let's have a look here at the water temple. It's a very sacred part of the jungle. Oh, I just saw something move inside the temple. But this is a very interesting spot. And if you look here, all of these roots are inside this rock formation, and they are keeping the rocks together, and they're also finding new ways to put their roots. And all the way up, water is filtrating through, and it's like a big water filter. And inside here, the water will be catched and stored, which is quite amazing. I'm gonna see if there's something here. Oh, such a beautiful sound. Okay. So far we've seen a lot of green, and we saw some insects. We're almost at the base camp. Let's keep going. I'm sure once we go down to the river, we will find something really cool. And it's all about taking your time. I think something that really resonates with me is that when you go into nature, you don't necessarily have to go fast. You just need to go slow. Take your time. Don't rush anything. Because if you do go fast, you will definitely miss something important, or even something beautiful. And one of the most precious gifts that nature does give us is just the beauty of time and going at your own pace. So I think as long as we go at our own pace, we will definitely spot some interesting things. So you won't believe what I just saw. Out of the corner of my eye, I was looking up at this beautiful, beautiful palm tree, and I don't know if you're gonna spot it, but somewhere on the palm tree, there is a cicada, an exoskeleton of the cicada camouflaged. And if you take a closer look, you will see where the cicada, the sun beetle, sat and where the cicada was shedding its skin. That's so cool. And actually, if you come down a little bit more, because probably you are wondering, what does that look like from close up, right? You will see another one right here on the leaf. Now these guys are really, really special. And if you take a closer look, inside his skeleton, there's actually another insect inside. Might be a bit tricky to see, but there's actually something eating the inside of the skeleton. And I suppose that's circular economy. One insect's waste becomes another insect's resource. So even though the skeleton has been, you know, left behind, someone else can then use that. And let's have a look. Oh wow, this is a very, very cool cricket. Do you hear that sound? A cricking sound. So this guy will play the violin on his back legs. He will actually put his legs together to make the most beautiful singing sound in nature. I actually hear one somewhere else in the garden, but look at these antennae. They are so incredibly long. They're about 15 centimeters long. And just look at that guy sitting there, super still, very well camouflaged. And wow, what a beautiful find. Let me see if I can take a better look. Oh, look how he's moving his antennae. He is detecting that I'm close and he's moving away. He's not fighting yet. He's not flying away yet. But look, one antenna is to the back. He feels my finger, and another antenna is to the front. Oh, look. And when I move my finger closer, he actually moves. He actually moves. He surprised me. He actually just moved. When he felt both of his antennae detecting something is happening, his body said, "You need to move now." Isn't that magnificent? He just knows. He just knows that something is not right. Oh, I really love nature in all of its beauty and all of its brutality. Every time nature scares me or wakes me up, it just reminds me that I also have a very important part in this ecosystem, and that actually I'm not the boss of nature. I'm not supposed to be at the top. There are many other creatures, organisms, plants, just many things within this ecosystem that will remind me that I am part of the living species. I am not the only living species. So let's see. Oh, actually, can I show you something? This is not an insect or something that can jump, but just look at this quickly. Look at this little area. Look at how nature has just made the most beautiful, beautiful design and the most beautiful house. Look at this fern. Look at the moss. There's a beautiful spider web right here, and actually all over the soil there are little crabs, and I just saw one running. Hang on, up, got it. You guys ready? This once again, don't think that nature doesn't appreciate its own beauty. This crab definitely knows that it's in a very, very special spot. And around this log, there's a lot of loose soil, and they actually burrow under the log, because the log or the tree, now that it's fallen down, it creates a whole new ecosystem. It creates a whole new habitat for organisms, and it creates shelter, and it also puts all of its nutrients back into the soil. So just in this little area, you can find so many organisms, so many creatures working together, and you can find a lot of biodiversity. This is an example of what we should be protecting and should be looking after in nature. The biodiversity, the amount of differences in one small spot. And we shouldn't be removing anyone or anything. Also looking at this little small spider, oh, there he goes. They all have their parts to play, whether it's up here in the spider web, whether it's inside here with the log, whether it's the moss and the lichen doing its thing, whether it's the crabs helping to put all of the dead matter back into the soil. Everybody has their job here, and nobody complains, and everybody works together, and everybody communicates. That's fascinating. Just think about that. Nature has its own system, it has its own way of doing things, and everybody gets along. I think we can really learn a lot from nature in that respect. There's many things that we can copy in nature, whether it's the form, the way it looks, or the structures, or the systems. But I also think that nature has its own psychology, and it has its own language, and when you speak that language and when you understand nature's thinking, you can really get a glimpse into a world that is almost as surreal as the metaverse. It's like, it's beyond what I can even comprehend. But I really want to go down to the river, because down at the river we might see something else that we wouldn't expect inside. So let's go this way. I know that there's a little pond here, and actually what happens here is that water filters through from the rice fields, and little juvenile fish are able to go back and forth from the stream into this little pond, which keeps them safe. And actually, if you do see a lot of movement in the water, I don't know how close you can go, but there is a whole group, a whole school of juvenile fish. And once they are big enough, and when the water level becomes higher, they go back into the river. So this is like a nursery, it's like a playground, it's a conservation center by nature, for nature. Because if these little guys, if I point like this, see if you can follow me, if these little guys had to go into the river straight away, they would just wash away. It'll be almost impossible for them. Oh, look there, you can see a lot of movement in the water. It'll almost be impossible for them to survive the strong current, and they will just be washed away, like I've said. So this is another way that nature uses its genius to reproduce, conservate, and protect. But okay, let's go down. So all of this water gets filtered, goes down into the river, and ooh, really exciting. I do think that nature can teach you a lot about being honest with yourself, honest with your friends or the people that comes with you to nature. It really must have rained a lot. The water level is quite high. So let's see what happens when we go down. I don't know what will happen if we go down. Let's see how far we can go. again. I'm just looking to see if there's anything camouflaged right here. The water level is quite high. Normally, if you look across to the other side of the river, now you only see water. But when it doesn't rain this much and when it's not rainy season, there are actually many beaches, many sandbanks here in the river. And you can walk in the river, you can walk across the river, and you can see how much it's been raining because the water level is so high at the moment. So maybe let's just go down a little bit more and see what has happened there. I haven't been down to the base camp in a long time when it was raining. So I'm quite curious to see how it's different now that it's rained. Come on, let's go see what else is happening. It seems like nature is quite quiet today. It really tells you a lot about the amount of water that came down while it was raining, and it tells you a lot about how strong the storm must have been, which is also an indication of how much water must have come down in one time. Like all of these roots, just look at this. I mean, this is the function of the roots. Their function, well, one of their functions are to also keep the soil intact so that it doesn't wash away. But you can also see when the soil is overexposed, the root system can't do all of this by themselves. They also need plants on the top to help keep the soil stable and intact. But here, a lot of erosion is happening. That's not a good thing. So we need to keep an eye out for things like that in nature. Because can we make a difference here? Can we do something about that? Totally. This is totally something that we can actually help contribute and help fix, right? It's something that we can do. We can do it together. But okay, let's cross the little bridge. I hear so many things. I hear another one of the crickets. Let's see. Oh, more crabs. It's going to take a moment to really look into nature. Something that I've seen and that I have experienced before is actually when you stop and just stare at nature, when you stop and just look at nature, you will find something. I've said that before, and I'm curious as to how much I'm willing to see today and how much I'm willing to explore. But I also wonder, I don't know if you want to see what's under these coconut palms. These coconut leaves have been chopped. I see a lot of spiders. I actually see a spider over here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Here you go. There's a spider. Look at the camouflage. Look at how the color, the texture, everything is just so well prepared and planned, and it just blends in. Again, nature is just so amazing. Something really interesting about these holes in the coconuts is that there's a beetle called the coconut beetle, and they actually eat a hole inside these coconut leaves, and then the leaves basically die and fall off. Woo, woo. Look at this guy. On top of here, there's another spider. You guys see him? Woo, there he goes. He's quite fast. And I really want to see what's under here. Let's have a look. Is there anything here? Wow. Now look at that. We'll put it back soon. But under here, you can see that the ants have used this coconut palm leaf for shelter, and you see all these white little dots. Before I tell you, I hope you are curious in wondering what they are. Now, if you've ever wondered about ants and whether ants lay eggs or have their babies live, they give live birth, well, today's your day. They lay eggs, and these are the eggs of the ants. And I do think they are a bit worried about us, because you can see them evacuating and taking their eggs away. So I don't want to disturb them too much. I'm gonna just put this back. I'm only taking a look. Let's have one more look here before we carry on. Is there anything else under here? Oh, there's the spiders. Oh wow, there's a nice mycelium network here. Look at that. Look at the orange colors. Whoa, this is so beautiful. Like, that's a whole fungal network. Isn't that gorgeous? There's actually another one over here that looks like a tree. This is really, really cool. You can see another one. See another one over here that almost looks like a big grandmother tree. That looks like the stem of the tree, the trunk of the tree, and here's all the branches and the leaves at the top. Really cool, right? And here on the side you can see termites. They are actually starting to build their nest here. So again, it's okay for us to look at what's happening in nature, but equally it is as important for us to put things back. I think the worst thing that can happen in nature is us coming in, taking, and not putting things back. That's not a great way to go into nature. Because in nature, if you pay respect, nature will respect you back. Look here. This is a massive coconut tree. Just look all the way up. It looks like it's 100 meters up. Wow, this is really a massive coconut tree. And it goes all the way up. And whoo, something just dropped from the top. Sometimes, don't be surprised if a coconut comes down. And again, when you're going into nature, you need to be aware of where you are and things that might be of danger. So for example, here in Indonesia, when you are walking in the jungle and you are under coconut trees, you need to make sure that they are not dry coconuts that can fall down and potentially hurt you a lot. But these are green coconut trees and green coconuts in the trees, and they are okay. We're quite safe to be here. So for today, I'm just gonna say, when I look at nature and when I look at what has happened in the river and when I look around me, it really reminds me that there's a lot of impermanence, that not everything lasts forever, and that's okay, and that everything has a function. Everything's part of the ecosystem, and that means also us. So although we didn't find big creatures today, we did have a chance to walk through nature and realize that within the smallest of the smallest parts, there is something amazing waiting to be discovered, waiting to be seen. And that is the end of our adventure here in the jungle this week. And I hope that you will tune in again, because you never know what you might find here in the jungle. Wow! Like, look at this massive leaf! Are you sure? I hope that you will join us, and I hope that you will find more treasures with us in the next session. Ciao!
Hi, it's Peter and Nicolene from Tamed and Untamed Studio.
As usual, if you enjoyed our content, give us a shout out so that we can create especially what you would like to see next.
And don't forget to leave a comment below.
Bing, bing, bing!